Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Draw with Edgar. This one is going to be much shorter than the other ones, and that's mostly because instead of being able to record all of the images that I drew, well, 4 out of 6 of them were requested as NSFW. And so, to keep everyone's sanity intact, I've only recorded the two that were safe. This first one is actually a battle picture. It involves my character, Caitlin Chaos, and this other character whose name escapes me at the moment. I really ought to write these things down before I start recording, but it's not really something that I put that much stock into. They've won 2 pictures from me before. This is the same character as was in the one carnival image hitting the strong bell with the mallet, and it skyrockets up. So this is the same character as that. I'm not sure if I mentioned it then either. It's something like Orin. I'm not sure, but in this image, I apparently forgot how to draw because honestly, I think it ended up pretty crap. But you can make your own decisions about how crap it actually is. I think his character is just totally bad pose, the head's wonky, everything just seems a little lopsided. And unfortunately, that happens. But I kept it after I finished it because, I mean, it's a sketch. They want it for free. And, yeah, still posted in my gallery. Now, one thing that I'd like to mention, I am a one-handed digital artist, which means I don't even go to the keyboard to Control Z. The only way that I undo is by moving the pen up to the top and hitting the undo button. So, manual control with one hand. Actually, I guess it's digital. Whatever. Anyway, I am a one-handed artist, and all of the armor that these two characters are wearing, actually all of the armor that I've drawn in any of the images, except the one with the Overlord's armor, all the armor that I draw is totally on the fly, so it's from out of my mind. So Caitlin Chaos, one of my characters for a long time, still doesn't have a very defined armor set, so I just made some shit up for. Of course, I was getting very frustrated with this image. I fortunately cut out the couple of times that I scribbled out the image and wrote blah 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 all over it because I was definitely not happy with myself that day. In fact, like I said, I think I just completely forgot how to draw some things. But overall, I mean, the image is an image, and it's got a little blood, a little battle, and the pose for Caitlin is actually inspired by the loading screen of Orcs versus Men. Of course, I didn't visually reference it, so it's just straight out of my head. But that's kind of what it reminds me of, the upswing and the big long crescent from the blade. But the his pose, I, I don't even know what to say. This is actually the third time that I tried the image, and that's why it doesn't start straight off from a blank page. It's because I still wasn't sure if I was gonna be recording it or not. Uh, but anyway, they didn't make any requests of what I should talk about, so that's why I'm just bantering on about the picture itself. Now, this character of mine, Caitlin Chaos, is actually probably one of the most interesting, I'd say, designs, visual designs, but at the same time, most natural. Uh, because of that, pretty frustrating. Because she is a calico cat, and her calico pattern follows that of an actual calico cat. So it's very non-uniform and natural. And really, that's how it's supposed to be. But at the same time, her markings in location are still very specific to the character. So I you will see that I have to keep referencing back to the reference image of my character, because Caitlin Chaos is just her design is nuts. The only thing that's very obvious as a non-natural design is the Eye of Terror design that's around her left eye. So you'll see it if you pay attention. This week's theme, the one that I'm drawing, was actually pair up with my characters. And some people chose the safe route, like this one, where they are battling my character, and the next one where they are going on an adventure with my character. But the other four are not so family friendly, let's say. In fact, Caitlin was chosen for two of the pictures. This one and another one where she is doing a little bit of biting. And Warp Fang, which is the next character. I'll talk about him a lot later. But he was actually chosen for three of the pictures that ended up getting drawn. And the last of the six was a black U named Sally Sinister. I almost regret not just making it so that one day it would be one character and another day it would be another character, but at the same time, like, I like giving people the freedom of choice, so I let them choose from six characters. And that's why, it was almost a popularity sort of thing with some of them, unfortunately. But I'm not too sad or anything. In a way, it gave me a chance to keep drawing my own characters, which is a little bit weird for me because I used to have a problem drawing my characters way back when. Like, I could draw other people's characters anytime that they wanted their characters for art. And I think that's mostly because they have their references together. Uh, I only have to do them once, usually. It's like, oh, this is my character. I'm like, okay. And then I draw it, and then I'm done with that character, and I can move on to something else. Because I guess repetition for me is pretty boring. I don't like drawing the same thing over and over again. I don't like. That's why I could never do tattoos, am I right? Or whatever those things are called, where you create a giant pattern by drawing the same thing over and over and over again. I don't know what they're called, but I heard about them just recently when I was watching another YouTube artist, actually, with his Let's Draw. His name's Mikey Mega Mega. Very good chap. You should watch him. The last two Let's Draws, he actually read some of my comments. Good times. Oh, if you were watching there, I had some trouble opening the reference for this character for some strange reason, because it worked before. So I just ended up using the last image I drew of him as a reference, because most of him is actually covered in armor, so you don't really see that much. And I made the armor leather, because I figured you might want a little bit of extra mobility when you're dealing with somebody who has way more strength in her body than it really appears she should have. So you might want to be able to duck out of the way. So it's light armor and a solid shield, and of course he's ready to stick her right in the ribs, and she'll survive. So it's okay. She's probably just playing with him. Not that you'd be able to tell from the facial expressions, but it could just be training day. Training day for Caitlin Chaos. She's actually not only a calico, but also undead. You can't really tell that well because she's a sort of ghoul hybrid, but basically most of her insides have been removed in one way or another, and yet she still has this great supernatural strength that's powering her body. So instead of using normal puny creature, normie, no, wow. Okay, let's try that again. Normal, puny creature muscles. She's driven by pure chaos magic. See, that sounded alright, didn't it? Ah, well, that's alright. I keep talking, and as long as you keep listening, then we're all good, right? Yes, that's it. Anyway, as I was talking about her pattern, look at that. It's crazy, but it's very specific. Like, I have to keep referencing her reference sheet to get it, and I don't even think I got it correctly, like totally right. I think I messed up a little bit still, especially like the base of her tail, things like that. But this image is almost at an end. I tried to have a little bit of a Colosseum look to it, but like I said, I couldn't draw that day, so I kind of screwed that up too. Ah, and I almost finished the piece before remembering to add the blood. Because, I mean, there was battle. There was blood. There's plenty of blood. So I had to add that. And looks like he got her on the side, on the leg a couple times. And it's just, you know, training. Yeah, just a little bit of fun. And there we go, the finished piece. After I finished recording, you can see I added a few more motion lines to the sword itself. Oh, here we have me setting up an image for 1 point perspective, which is a very fun little thing that every artist should probably already know about. 1 point perspective is, of course, when there is just one vanishing point in the distance on a central horizon that everything is disappearing into. Most images follow 1 point perspective already, but the 1 point perspective that I use is, in fact, in order for me to be able to set up a background or an environment for my characters to be within. And in this request, Shiron Zion, I think, is the requester, asked me to basically have his character out in like a dungeon raid or a sort of adventure, going through and scouting out or disarming traps. So I decided to have them together there in sort of more modern-esque gear, I guess, checking out an ancient temples, ancient ruins. Wow, temples. It is a temple, singular. Anyway, uh, we have Warpfang, the rodent, the adventurer, the Dodija, the savior of Trow. Oh my gosh, I forgot his whiskers. He's actually the only character that I've been drawing with persistent whiskers, and I forgot them in this image. I remembered them in all the other ones, and I forgot them in this one. Can you believe it? Of course you can, because I'm telling you, but that's beside the point. You know, there have been pictures that I've drawn before where I'll get to the end and then I'll realize I've forgotten the character's tail, things like that. Like just things that I will go the entire image not realizing that I've completely forgotten to add them in. Any of you artists out there who are watching this, have you had any sort of experiences like that where you're just working on a piece very hard and then days later you look at it and you realize you've forgotten something that has, up until that point, been incredibly persistent with the character? Yeah, I have done. Have done that before. Although not usually on my own characters, but you know. Warpfang is a character that I used to LARP as. And for those of you who do not know what LARPing is, that is live action roleplay. I would personally put on The brown and white makeup, it was like face cake makeup, and basically I would color my face like a domesticated rodent, which is what Warp Fang is, and I would put like the white streak into my hair, and I'd make like the half brown, half white face, and I would wear a tail and ears, and I would carry around a bow and a short sword and an arming sword, and I would go adventuring. And yes, I was the rogue. I had the skills in order to detect and disarm traps, and back then I knew how to pick locks. It's been a long time, so I probably couldn't do it anymore. But I had learned how to pick locks specifically to play Warp Fang, because I mean, otherwise, what kind of a rogue are you if you don't know how to pick locks, right? But I definitely did disarm a lot more traps than most people. But it does remind me of the one time when I was on a quote unquote beginner quest. And the thing is, Warp Fang was never entirely a beginner. He was actually over the level of these other schmucks. And they it's just that they hadn't seen him around that much, so I guess they decided to talk me into going on to this beginner mission. And I was like, well, it's better than just sitting around the tavern and wasting all my gold, which is what I was doing up until that point, that day. So I went along this adventure, and I told them, hey, you should probably let me look for things first. And this group just barrels through, killing everything they find, which, by the way, were giant rodents. Yeah, imagine this. I did not have much fun on that adventure at all. But they actually get to a doorway, and I say, wait, wait, and they just go straight through. And guess what? They set off a noxious fumes gas, which actually like incapacitated the entire group except me, because I was just 2 feet out of the radius. It was pretty funny, actually, because they were asking me for help, and I was like, "Oh, now you want my help?" Because that's the way he talks. He's like, "Yeah, yeah. So now you want my help? Oh, let me think about it, okay? You guys haven't been really listening to me at all until now. So let's see. What can I say to help you? Don't hurry ahead of the guy who's able to find your traps. I don't know." So it was a lot of fun. Now and then, I will revive the character for a tabletop role-playing adventure. I've run him in D&D a couple times in a few different iterations, but usually he is a rat man with a bow, and honestly, in D&D 3.5, you can be such a broken bow user character, especially if you go to the scout class. But the thing is, I don't really like D&D, especially not anymore. I got plenty of other better systems that I can play, because D&D, archaic system. You know what? I'm not even going to go over it, because I think I talked about it in one of my previous videos, and it's just, there's no point, really. There is no point. So, that reminds me, I did order some miniatures off of Shapeways recently. They are versions of the Saiyakin, which are a bug turtle cross monster that exist in Time Warp Vortex, which is a game system that I created and published, but we haven't had a new iteration for a while, and I haven't really been getting out to the appropriate conventions lately, and that's mostly because of a reason that I don't really want to talk about, but eventually we will get it back in order, and everything will be moving smoothly once again. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. So I got these Saiyakin, and I'm really happy with it. Shapeways, if you don't know, is a great place to get custom miniatures that are not what you would normally find at the store or something like that. Especially like if there's anybody there doing anthropomorphic, like adventurer characters, then that would be the perfect place to get them. Mostly because they are not that expensive. I picked up 9 of them for about $30, I guess. It was about $3 a piece. But that is at their cheap, low quality. But even the low quality plastic, these things are amazing. I am so glad to finally have them into properly printed format. The big thing is that the material that they are made of is a little bit quicker to cool. I don't really understand all the technicalities of 3D printing, but these are excellent. I have painted them up. I'll have pictures up of them once I actually finish them all, which mostly like once I figure out how to properly flock snow, they'll be up because these creatures come from the frozen north, and I want to actually flock snow onto their backs because their backs look like rocks. They actually blend in to the scenery pretty well. But I want to figure out how to flock snow to make it actually look like snow because I picked up snow like scenic terrain snow stuff, and unfortunately it didn't actually end up looking that much like snow. It looks more like slush to me. Like it looks half melted. Uh, yeah, it looks like slush. I gotta figure out how to make it look like snow, and I think it's baking powder or something that can do it, but I'm not sure. I have to look a little more into it before I actually mess with it again. But it's staring me right in the face. I got it right here, and I gotta say, it looks amazing. I'm really happy with it. Shapeways did not sponsor this video. I just suddenly felt like talking about them. Uh, Now, if you're looking for a miniature that you really want to show off and you want to take to your groups and stuff, you'd want the higher quality plastic, which only costs like twice as much as the regular plastic. So instead of paying 3 for a piece, it would be more like $6 a piece. And honestly, $6 for a heroic miniature is a pretty good deal, compared to some of the other companies like Games Workshop. Some of the prices that some of the bigger name companies really try to throw you for their plastic miniatures. But I mean, if you get them in groups, some of them are pretty good deals still. Even the big GW, which, by the way, boxes of Skaven are probably the best way to get an army of rodents. I love the Skaven packs, Skaven war packs. Oh yeah, I got a bunch of storm vermin and clan rats that I've painted. I love how they look, really do. Oh, here's where I forget to paint a part of her shirt. I actually miss it, and it got posted like that. So, sorry, Shiron Zion. Anyway, if you got any questions for me, go ahead and post. If you want to join for more free sketches, the link is below and all the images are down below. Take care. Bye.